What if a single thought could turn into a fortune? That's exactly what Napoleon Hill discovered after studying 500 millionaires. He uncovered 13 steps that anyone can follow to achieve success. And in this video, you'll get the exact playbook to start today. But stay with me until the end because without the final lesson, everything else could collapse. Phase 1. The Foundation. Chapter 1. Desire. Know exactly what you want. We began with a man who had nothing, no money, no connections, no special skills. But he had one thing most people never truly have: a burning, crystal clear desire for what he wanted. His name was Edwin C. Barnes. The moment he saw a photograph of Thomas Edison, he decided he would become his business partner. He couldn't afford a ticket to New Jersey, so he jumped a freight train, walked into Edison's office, and asked for a chance. Edison didn't say yes. Instead, he offered Barnes a low-level job. He showed up day after day for years, waiting for the moment he'd been visualizing from the start. When Edison needed someone to sell his new dictating machine, Barnes seized the opportunity, crushed the sales, and earned the partnership he had imagined. That's the pattern behind every success story. Not a vague wish, not "it would be nice," but a burning desire that doesn't die, even after years. Hill gives a 6-step formula you can start using today to turn your desire into results. Decide exactly what you want. If it's money, pick a number down to the dollar. Decide the price you'll pay. Every goal comes with a price: time, skill, value you'll give. Set a deadline. A dream without a date is just a wish. Write a plan and start today, even if it's messy. Write it all down in one clear statement. Read it every morning and night, picturing yourself already living it. Your turn. What's your Barnes-level goal? The one so clear you'd take the freight train step, take the low-level job, and wait years if that's what it takes. To help you put this process into action, I've created a blueprint you can grab. It walks you through each step so you can start applying the principles right away. So, without that kind of desire, no amount of talent or luck will carry you. But with it, you become unstoppable. And when desire says, "I want it," faith says, "it's already mine." Chapter 2. Faith. Believe it before you see it. In 1995, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson sat in his car with $7 in his pocket after being cut from the Canadian Football League. He told himself one thing: "I'm destined for something bigger." That belief became the fuel for everything that followed. He rebuilt himself as a wrestler, then again as an actor, pushing through years of rejection until the world finally matched to the picture he held in his mind. That's faith. Seeing your goal so vividly it feels real long before it shows up in your life. And your mind accepts what it hears on repeat, whether it's true or not. Repeat doubt, and you'll convince yourself you can't win. Repeat belief, and your subconscious will start moving mountains to make it happen. Napoleon Hill's simple daily formula for building faith. Read it aloud morning and night. And as you say it, imagine already living it. Feel the emotions you would feel if it were true today. Visualize living it now, what you see, hear, and feel when it's real. Do one small action immediately after you read it. Protect your mind. Avoid negative self-talk and negative people. Faith isn't pretending problems don't exist. It's refusing to let them set your limits. When you combine it with burning desire, nothing can stop you. Question for you. When life knocks you down, do you see the end or the beginning of your comeback? But belief fades unless you install it in your mind. The next step is to lock that belief in place with autosuggestion. Chapter 3. Autosuggestion. Make belief stick. In the early 1990s, Jim Carrey was broke, living in a rundown apartment and struggling to get acting work. But instead of focusing on what he didn't have, he decided to program his mind with the future he wanted. So, he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated at 5 years ahead, and carried it in his wallet. Every day, he visualized getting that exact paycheck. Almost 5 years later, Carrey landed his role in Dumb and Dumber with a paycheck of $10 million. That's the power of autosuggestion. It's the practice of feeding your subconscious with thoughts, images, and emotions until it accepts them as real and starts guiding your actions to match. Your subconscious doesn't argue whether something is true or false. It simply absorbs what you repeat. That's why the key to autosuggestion is consistency. The more often you feed it, the deeper it takes root. Hear Hill's daily process for making it work. Set 2 triggers. At those moments, read or repeat your statement. Choose 2 daily habits as anchors. For example, brushing your teeth in the morning and setting your alarm at night. Each time you do them, pause for 20 seconds to read your statement with feeling. Design your environment. Make your statement your lock screen or print it as a desk card so you see it constantly. If-then rule. When a negative thought appears, say your statement once out loud as a reset. Proof log. Each night, write 1 sentence. Today, I did. Toward my goal. That way you build evidence and confidence. So here's your challenge. What bold statement will you repeat every single day until your mind and your life have no choice but to catch up? The process is simple, but it only works if you do it with emotion and consistency. Now, the foundation is locked in. Here's what it looks like. Desire chooses the destination. Faith makes it feel real. Autosuggestion installs it in your mind. Now it's time to turn that belief into a plan with the right skills and people. Phase 2, the plan. Chapter 4, specialized knowledge. Learn what you need to succeed. In 1919, a Chicago newspaper published an article calling Henry Ford an ignorant idealist, suggesting he was uneducated and unfit to comment on world affairs. Ford sued for libel. In court, the opposing lawyer tried to embarrass him by asking basic historical questions: dates, battles, names of political figures. Ford finally smiled and said, "If I really want the answer to a foolish question, I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk. I can summon men who can answer any question I desire." He didn't try to know everything. Instead, he focused on surrounding himself with people who had the knowledge he needed: engineers, designers, managers, and then using that knowledge to act. That's the point. General knowledge is everywhere, in books, on the internet, in schools, but on its own, it's almost useless when it comes to building wealth. Specialized knowledge, on the other hand, is targeted skills aimed directly at a definite goal. It becomes power only when it's organized and applied. Think of Steve Jobs. He wasn't an engineer, but he had a crystal clear vision for simple, beautiful computers. He partnered with Steve Wozniak, who had the technical expertise to make that vision real. Jobs didn't try to master every skill. He assembled the right ones and applied them to a plan. Here's how to put this principle to work today. Define the target. Write your one clear goal. Identify the skills. List the 3 to 5 key skills your goal requires. Choose the path. For each skill, decide. Will you learn it yourself or borrow it from someone else? Organize it. Knowledge only matters if you use it. Run a 30-day mini project that produces a visible result. Keep improving. Knowledge grows faster when it's shared. Create a weekly knowledge board of 2 to 3 people who review your progress and keep you honest. So ask yourself, are you collecting information or learning only what moves you closer to your goal? As Hill puts it, knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action. General knowledge is worth little in the marketplace, but specialized knowledge, applied with purpose, can build empires. Knowledge gives you the map, but imagination is what builds the road. And since every road begins in the mind, our next step is to enter the workshop where all plans are first created. Chapter 5. Imagination. Turn ideas into reality. In 2007, 2 broke roommates in San Francisco couldn't pay their rent, and a design conference was coming to town with all the hotels sold out. So they came up with an idea. Put 3 air mattresses in their living room, offer breakfast, and rent the spots online. They called it Air Bed and Breakfast. At first, it was just a way to cover rent, but the idea kept evolving. What if people could rent out extra rooms or entire homes? That little experiment grew into Airbnb, a company now worth billions. That's the power of imagination. Hill called this the workshop of the mind, the place where desire takes shape. He breaks it down into 2 types. Synthetic imagination, combining existing concepts in new ways, like Airbnb merging short stays with an online platform. Creative imagination, brand new ideas that arrive in flashes of inspiration or intuition. A classic example is Velcro. In the 1940s, engineer Georges de Mestral noticed burrs sticking to his dog's fur after a hike. Under a microscope, he saw tiny hooks. That single observation sparked a new fastening system used worldwide. Both kinds of imagination can create fortunes, but only if you act. So, how to make imagination work for you today? Keep a running list in your phone. No judging, just collect. Take one successful business and list 3 ways to apply it in a different niche. Set a timer for 10 minutes. How would I solve this if I had 100 euros and zero code? Constraints force creativity. When I started this channel, my constraint was 1 video every single week. No excuses were accepted. Every Monday, an imperfect video went live, and that simple rule forced me to improve fast. Put together something real, a landing page, a mock-up, a 1-minute demo, or even a first sale email. Show it to 3 people who would actually use or buy it. Listen for specifics, not compliments. Tiny notes become big leaps over time. So, what's the air mattress idea in your life right now? The small, imperfect concept that could grow into something massive if you dared to develop it? Hill's reminder is clear. Without imagination, knowledge remains dormant. With it, you can create new paths where none existed before. With imagination, the road is paved. But a road is useless without motion. So next, we build the plan that drives it. Chapter 6. Organized Planning. Turning your idea into action. In the late 1990s, a young company had an idea. Instead of going to the video store, customers could get DVDs delivered straight to their mailbox. It worked, but not well enough. So they tried something radical: streaming movies online. At first, it was clunky, the catalog was tiny, and most people still preferred DVDs. But the team kept refining the plan and investing in the future they saw coming. Years later, they pivoted again, creating their own original shows and films. That company was Netflix, and none of it happened by chance. Every major move came from organized planning, a clear goal, a step-by-step plan, and the discipline to adapt when the world changes. Desire gives you the goal. Imagination shapes the plan, and organized planning set a clear, structured path to get moving. Most people fail here, not because their goal is impossible, but because they never build a workable plan, or they quit after the first setback. But defeat is just feedback that it's time to revise the plan. Here's how to build your plan. Define the outcome. Pick one metric that proves you're winning: revenue, users, reps. Break it down into 3 to 5 key steps with deadlines. Translate to weekly actions. What happens every week? By whom? By when? Map resources. List the tools you'll use, the skills you'll learn, the budget you'll spend, and the people whose skills you'll borrow. Schedule the work. Block time on your calendar. Review weekly. For 30 minutes each week, reflect on what worked, what didn't, and what changes now. But even the best plan will fail without the right behavior steering it. Hill highlights the traits that turn plans into results like courage, self-control, and sound judgment. And just as leadership has traits of success, it also has causes of failure, like disorganization, unwillingness to do humble tasks, and fear of competition. That's why planning starts with self-knowledge. Do an honest audit. Which 2 weaknesses slow you down the most? Which 2 strengths carry you forward? Build your plan to leverage strengths and bridge or neutralize weaknesses. Remember, the world makes room for the person who knows where they're going. With a definite plan, consistent action, and the courage to adjust, success becomes a matter of when, not if. Next, once the plan exists, you need the habit that protects it from delay. Phase 3. The push. Chapter 7. Decision. Commit and hold the line. In 1914, Henry Ford shocked the business world. The average factory worker were making about $2.50 a day. Ford announced he was going to pay his workers $5 a day, nearly double the going rate. Experts called him insane. Competitors said it would bankrupt the company. But Ford didn't flinch. He decided fast and held the line. Within a year, productivity skyrocketed, turnover collapsed, and the best workers in the country lined up for jobs at Ford Motor Company. Even better, those same workers could now afford to buy the very cars they were building. Hill says this is one of the defining traits of successful people. They make decisions quickly, and they change them slowly, and only for a truly good reason. Most people do the opposite. They hesitate, overthink, and then reverse at the first sign of trouble. Procrastination is the enemy of decision. It kills momentum. If you wait for the perfect time, you'll never move forward. So, once you've done the essential homework, trust yourself to decide. If you need advice, get it from a few reliable people, but keep your plan quiet until it's solid. Why? Because sharing half-formed ideas invites opinions that can throw you off course. People without a clear purpose get easily influenced by others' opinions, but a definite decision keeps you steady. Hill's advice is simple. Know what you want. Decide to go after it. Stick to that decision unless there's a truly compelling reason to change. But once you decide, the world will test you. Persistence is what carries it to the finish line. Chapter 8. Persistence. The power to keep going. During the Colorado Gold Rush in the mid-19th centuries, two men found a vein of gold. Excited, they covered the mine, went home, and raised money to buy proper equipment. But when they returned, the gold was gone. After weeks of failure, they gave up and sold everything to a junk dealer. The dealer brought in a mining engineer who discovered the Darbys had stopped digging just 3 feet from the richest part of the mine. He mined it and made a fortune. Darby never forgot the lesson. People often quit when success is just around the corner. Persistence is the trait that turns defeat into victory. Defeat isn't final unless you quit. Persistence is a state of mind, a mix of desire and willpower that refuses to stop, no matter how slow the progress or how tough the obstacles. Without it, even the best plan collapses. With it, almost anything is possible. This is where most people fail. They start strong, but fade when results are slow. So how do you build persistence? Here are 8 drivers. Clear purpose. Know exactly what you want. Burning desire. Be obsessed with reaching it. Self-belief. Trust that you can follow through. Definite plan. Work from an organized plan. Accurate knowledge. Act on facts, not guesses. Cooperation. Surround yourself with people who push you forward. Willpower. Finish what you start. Habit. Make persistence a daily part of who you are. Remember this. Fix the plan, not the goal. Many people quit just when compounding is about to start. So ask yourself, what project are you about to drop that could be 3 feet from gold? Note that persistence gets easier when you're not fighting alone. Now it's time to multiply your strength. Chapter 9. Power of the Mastermind. Multiply your strength. In 1903, on the windy dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, 2 brothers, and Wilbur and Orville Wright, chased a dream most people called impossible: human flight. They weren't wealthy or university-trained engineers. They were bicycle mechanics. Every test flight was dangerous. Every crash was expensive. And the press mocked them at every turn. But what kept them going was the fact that they weren't alone. When one was discouraged, the other stayed optimistic. When one had an idea, the other refined it. Their partnership produced the first controlled, sustained flight in history. That's what Hill calls a mastermind. 2 or more people working in harmony toward a definite purpose. When aligned, their mind create a third invisible force, a current of ideas, energy, and courage greater than any one person. Think of it like batteries. One gives power, but connects several, and the current multiplies. Here's what that gives you: specialized knowledge you don't have, accountability so plans don't drift, emotional support when setbacks hit, network effects that open doors you couldn't open alone. So how do you build your own mastermind? Define the goal in 1 sentence. Over the next 90 days, we will pick 2 to 4 complementary people. Choose those who fill the gaps in your skills and perspective. Offer value first. Tell them, this is what I'm working on, this is what I bring, and this is where I'd love your help. Meet weekly for 45 minutes at the same time. Keep harmony. Attack problems, not people. Bias to action. Every piece of advice must end in a next step and a who, when. Run 90-day cycles. Review results, refresh goals, rotate members if needed. These steps will help you build a mastermind, but watch out. Most groups fail for the same reasons. If you're too many, then talk replaces action. If the purpose is vague, the group loses direction. Keep egos low, or the energy slips away. Miss the rhythm and momentum dies. So in your life right now, who are the 2 to 3 people you could invite to multiply your strength? and what value would you bring them on day one? When you link minds, your horsepower jumps. And next, we'll see how to fuel the whole system with your strongest energy. Phase 4. The upper levels. Chapter 10. The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. Channel your strongest energy. In 1974, a young boxer named Muhammad Ali was preparing for one of the biggest fights of his career, the Rumble in the Jungle against George Foreman. Foreman was younger, stronger, and the heavy favorite. Ali knew he couldn't win punch for punch, so he trained not just his body but his focus. He cut out distractions, disciplined every part of his life, and poured all his physical and emotional energy into one purpose: winning that fight. On October 30th, in front of 60,000 people in Zaire, Ali used his famous rope-a-dope strategy to exhaust Foreman, then knocked him out in the 8th round. Every ounce of energy was channeled into that single goal. This fight wasn't just about boxing, it was about channeling raw human energy. And that's where Hill introduces one of his boldest ideas: sex transmutation, turning sexual energy into ambition, imagination, and sustained effort. This is behind some of the strongest emotions and boldest actions in history. But the most successful people don't let that energy control them. They redirect it. And Hill explains why it matters. This energy is emotionally charged. When channeled, it amplifies creativity and persistence. It also heightens charisma, which helps in leadership and influence. Unchanneled, it weakens attention and momentum. Hill's advice is simple. Recognize this energy as one of your strongest forces. Learn to control and redirect it into your definite purpose. Use it to fuel your imagination, persistence, and ability to act. When this energy is channeled into productive work, it becomes one of the greatest tools for achievement. Now that energy needs a driver. Chapter 11. The subconscious mind. The link between desire and reality. Your subconscious is always working. It records everything you see, hear, and feel, and then acts on the thoughts that dominate your mind. That's why Hill warns, if you feed it with fear and doubt, it will create obstacles. But if you feed it with belief and purpose, it will open doors. Hill describes the subconscious mind as the bridge between your conscious thoughts and what he calls infinite intelligence, the universal source of ideas and inspiration. It's the channel through which your desires becomes reality, and it responds most strongly to emotion. Positive or negative, whatever you feel deeply sinks into your subconscious. Hill lists 7 major positive and negative emotions, and only one side can dominate at a time. Whichever you feed more will take control. The key is to program your subconscious intentionally. Link your goals to strong positive emotions and repeat them daily. This is where autosuggestion comes back into play. By visualizing and affirming your goal with feeling, you pass it directly to your subconscious. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps did this before every race. He didn't just picture the perfect swim, he would visualize every detail. The dive, the strokes, the turn, the finish, and even possible problems, like his goggles filling with water. At the 2008 Beijing Olympics, that exact thing happened in the 200-meter butterfly final. But Phelps stayed calm, counted his strokes, and won gold, breaking a world record. He had lived the race so many times in his mind that his body simply followed through. Hill's advice for mastering your subconscious: guard your thoughts. Only let in what supports your goal. Attach emotion to your goals. Make them vivid and exciting in your mind. Use repetition. Remind your subconscious daily of what you want. Avoid negative influences. They plant seeds of doubt that grow fast. Whether you program it intentionally or not, your subconscious is shaping your life. If you take control of that process, it becomes one of your most powerful allies in turning desire into reality. So now we know our subconscious is always at work. The question is, are you guiding it, or is it guiding you? Chapter 12. The brain. Send and receive opportunity. If your subconscious is the link between desire and reality, your brain is the machine that sends and receives the signals to make it happen. Hill saw the human brain as a radio, constantly sending and receiving vibrations of thought. The thoughts you focus on most, especially when charged with emotion, are the ones you send out the loudest, and your brain is also tuned to pick up signals from other minds. And what Hill described as infinite intelligence, the universal source of ideas. That's why obsession works. Desire, faith, persistence, they make your signal stronger, so the right opportunities and connections seem to find you. Modern psychology calls it selective attention. Learn a new word and suddenly you start hearing it everywhere. Decide you want a certain car and suddenly it's on every street. Your brain filters reality to match what you've been repeating inside. And when you connect with the right people, those signals multiply. This is why the mastermind is so powerful. In 1976, inside a small garage in Los Altos, California, Steve Jobs had the vision and Steve Wozniak had the engineering genius. Together, they built the first Apple computer. That single idea, we can change how people use computers, eventually reached the entire world. Hill's advice for using your brain to its full potential. Keep your mind focused on a clear, definite purpose. Charge your thoughts with emotion to strengthen your signal. Surround yourself with other driven, positive thinkers. Stay alert for ideas, insights, and opportunities. They're often the result of your own signal coming back to you. When your brain is tuned in, your subconscious is ready, and your mastermind is strong, you're not just thinking, you're sending out a frequency that success can't ignore. Next, you'll see that when all the principles click together, answers start showing up before you even ask the question. Chapter 13. The Sixth Sense. Trust your inner guidance. When every principle you've built so far starts working together, something new switches on. Hill calls it the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. It's the moment when the right move appears without effort. A gut pull toward an opportunity. A sudden idea that solves a problem you've been stuck on. An urge to make a call, and the timing is perfect. Steve Jobs used to say, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. That's the sixth sense at work. Intuition sharpened by everything you've been feeding your mind. But you don't wait for it, you prepare for it. So when it comes, you trust it and act. Here's how you prepare. Master the other 12 principles first as the sixth sense grows from them. Keep your definite purpose at the center of your thoughts. Create quiet space daily, walks, reflection, journaling, to let ideas surface. Pay attention to flashes and random thoughts. Trust your instincts when they align with your purpose. At this point, the only thing left to master is clearing the final obstacle, fear. For the final chapter, we'll face your most silent enemy, the 6 ghosts of fear. Because without defeating them, everything you've built so far can crumble. The 13 principles are useless if you don't control your fear. Hill calls them the 6 ghosts of fear. They creep into your mind quietly, killing dreams before they're even born. Fear of poverty, worrying about money until you're paralyzed. Fear of criticism, worrying more about what others think than what you want. Fear of ill health, obsessing over sickness until it affects your well-being. Fear of loss of love, letting jealousy or insecurity dictate your choices. Fear of old age, believing your time has already passed. Fear of death, thinking it's too late to live fully. These ghosts don't shout, they whisper. They tell you to wait for the perfect time. They push you toward the safe path. They convince you to lower your goal so you won't be disappointed. But Hill's warning is clear. Fear is a liar. Every principle you've learned collapses if you let fear take control. Desire fades, faith dies, plans stay on paper, opportunities pass unseen, and the perfect time never arrives. The people you admire most didn't wait for permission, certainty, or perfect timing. They acted while the ghosts were still whispering. They pushed forward anyway. So the real question is, will you let fear run your life, or will you take the first step? In the end, Hill's message was never just about money. It's about building the life you truly want, if you refuse to let fear or hesitation control you. So burn the ships. Decide exactly what you want. Start today with what you have right where you are, because the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to start.